Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend D.G. Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. In a world of capes and lunatics, gods and monsters, there are threats that arise that no single hero can face. In those times, a group must rise. They are the Avengers, and this is Avengers Declassified. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits,
Phil Podcast Perich.
Welcome back, Phil.
Thank
you. My goodness. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Sam Wilson, Captain America, issues 7 and 8, and leading up to the big standoff, attack on Pleasant Hill, Omega, because that's the end, because that's what Omega means. It means the last one. So, except it's only the beginning, Phil.
That's right.
Only the beginning. The thing that will tie us over in the darkness to come. And oh boy, is darkness coming, Phil. But before then, we've got our general siege on Pleasant Hill.
Mm-hmm.
You'll recall it from our last conversations regarding the all new, all different Avengers and the Uncanny Avengers.
Last week, yep.
Yep, Deadpool got his stash back, and sadly, it's gone now. Give the man his stash. How cruel to steal.
That's all he wanted.
Of all the things to take from him, why his mustache? So in this one, it is your big fight, and but what is interesting about 7 is that is where we get the big final fight between Crossbones and Old Man Rogers. And this is the big moment when Rogers makes peace with, okay, I guess I'm going to die now. But he went out fighting, he went out a hero. And Crossbones is going to kill him with his own shield. But as he's fading away, which seems to imply he was actually dying even before Crossbones was coming down with the shield.
Well, I could see that because like the whole reason he was old is because there was some kind of radiation accident where it kind of nullified that super soldier serum. So I could see.
Well,
yeah.
Well, what it was the iron nail sucked all the super soldier out of him.
Yeah.
And this time he meant it, because it's like that's happened like several times. But this was also the time where it also aged him. So not only did he have the super soldier serum sucked out of him, but he also became an old man, like if he had been around for 60 years,
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember it because they paired him up with Sharon Carter, because she was all of 42 by that point. You'll recall when she came back from Dimension Z, and oh, you're hideous. You're 42. I don't know how they do that stuff sometimes. It's very confusing. But moving on. Old Man Cap is about to die, and then Kobik, our delightful little girl Cosmic Cube, says, you don't have to die. You can come back, and I can make you strong again. Yada, yada, yada. And so he comes back, and he's strong again, and he punches Crossbones. And now we get ready for the big fight. And we open up with issue 8, because this is going to lead up into what we're going to get when we get to our big Omega crossbow fight. We have what's her name? I'm blanking on the name. The woman who becomes the new Quasar.
Oh, Avril Kincaid.
Avril it was Avril, because I think it's that Canadian name.
Yes, Avril. Yes,
Avril. Avril Kincaid. She was in the system too, and she was the preschool teacher. But she also recognized everyone because she was a SHIELD agent, deep cover. But there was one person who she didn't know, Phil.
What was that? Was it the librarian?
Yeah, the librarian, something like that. This, I don't think we get this until Omega. But
yeah,
Phil, who's that librarian?
Wendell Vaughn.
Yes, Wendell Vaughn, because he apparently the quantum bands were getting to be a bit much for him. And I don't even remember this, but maybe you do. Maybe he did go kind of off a level. No, it's just
I don't think. Yeah, I think they just wanted an excuse. Yeah.
Yeah, wanted an excuse to put a female in the quantum bands.
And I'm assuming that Cosmic Cube took those bands off because supposedly those bands don't come off until you die. So, or you chop someone's hands off. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they made the point. I mean, and this is what we get later, which is like he says, I really needed to get them off. So I went to Hill, because when we need stuff done that's a little unseemly. Who's going to help you? No one but Maria Hill. Yeah, they did come off, and apparently, if you have a Cosmic Cube's power, you can do just about anything. Apparently, but maybe that explains why Wendell Vaughn now has them back on. I think, as well as Avril. Are they both Quasars now?
Yeah, Al Ewing had it in Guardians of the Galaxy, so the two of them were kind of like bonded, like Rick Jones and Marvel used to be. And it never explained this before the book ended, how it came about. But yeah, they smacked those quantum bands and would switch places. But they were both Quasar, but it was just only one of them could be out at a time. But
well, that's what happens when you have a Cosmic Cube remove your unremovable weapons of the Omniverse.
True.
Yes. My favorite thing in all of this, though, is when they are looking for Kobik.
Craven
the Hunter. Yeah, Craven the Hunter. And, it's delightful because it shows you that you can do a good Craven. He is so rarely done interestingly.
Yeah.
And this was done because this was like, no, well, I'm a hunter. If you want to catch a little girl, you have to figure out how do you catch a little girl. You throw a party for her. Because kids love parties, man. And it's delightful. It's delightful when they do come. Although obviously, Fixer was the villain the whole time, which I think that comes out later. Because that's going to be in our new Thunderbolts run.
Yes.
That's going to happen later. Because I believe, is it Bucky joins up with the Thunderbolts?
Yeah, it's kind of Bucky leading them for a while. Yeah, that's that series. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good series. I love all the Thunderbolt series. I'll be honest with you. I look forward to the Thunderbolt movie that they're making.
And a new book coming out soon.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a Hawkeye Thunderbolts,
Yeah, but Monica Rambeau is going to be in that.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, it's got a good team. He's got a good team. And Monica Rambeau in it, that's good. It's just, Hawkeye. I'll be honest with you, I actually like the MCU Hawkeye better than the comic Hawkeye. I said it. He's more interesting of character because he's less cocky. He's less a jerk the whole time. It's like he's a really good shot, but he never really thinks that makes him a superhero. He's like, I don't know, man. I was there, and Captain said, "You're a superhero now." It's like, okay, I just shoot arrows, dude. literally all I do. But anyway, moving right along. They do capture. They do capture poor old Kobik, and they are. I don't know. I just don't think they thought it through, because it is. Well, I created. And it is one of these weird things. Like, you realize that is an omnipotent being that you're trying to contain in a box.
I know that's what I'm thinking.
Box that you Fixer put together.
Yeah, I'm like, how? I mean, I know Fixer's pretty smart, but what kind of box could he build to contain a sentient cosmic cube? I was like, okay.
Yeah, not one, really, because it seems like it did literally nothing when eventually Zemo tries to pull rank on it, and she's just like, "You're a very bad man. I'm going to send you to the cornfield." It just does not seem to go well for the villains. And that's just, if you could control a cosmic cube, don't you think Dr. Doom would have done it? At least tried to? But, and hey, I'll agree, Dr. Doom is a dropout and kind of a failure as a supervillain. But, so is the Fixer. So is the Fixer. So it's like...
And again, Zemo's ego was like in total overdrive. I'm like, if any Nazi would have been able to control a cosmic cube, the Red Skull's had his chance a couple times. The Red Skull would have did it before, over Baron Zemo.
Yeah. Well, spoilers, Phil.
I'm not even talking about this time. I mean, there's been other times that, the Skull's had his hand on the cube,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Well, the thing about cosmic cubes is they have the ability to make whatever you imagine reality. But the people who've had access to them usually aren't very imaginative. It's like,
Thank goodness.
Yeah, well, it's just like, when you have a human level mind, and no matter who you are, you have a human level mind. Even Deadpool has a human level mind, and he can actually see through the fourth wall. It's like he is aware of things that most people in the comics aren't. But he's still human, and it's like, if you add a cosmic cube, there's only so many things he's gonna do, and it's gonna get repetitive, and it's gonna get boring, and it's not gonna actually accomplish much. Aside from like blowing stuff up, you can't really do much with a cosmic cube.
Well, that's the thing.
They're
That's
really
like even Thanos has tried to use a cube before. Unlike movie Thanos, Thanos in the comics has always been like, "Oh, I can't have infinity gems. I'll use a cosmic cube. I'll use a cosmic cube."
Yeah, and the thing about cosmic cubes is they're not really user friendly. They're literal genies. It's like it's always gonna fall apart the second. They're really slippery, apparently, because nobody can hang on to the dang things. And they're just not very useful. And then you have one that has sentience, and it's like, and a very obstinate sentience too.
Oh yeah, a young child. Yeah. Wow.
Although I will say, and I had forgotten that Selvig was in this, so I was very happy to see Selvig in this. You gotta bring your MCU characters into this stuff. But yeah, it's a bit of a rough go when the supervillain, when the cosmic cube basically basically is in charge, and nothing that you do as a supervillain or even as a superhero matters because there's a cosmic cube on the play. And I had forgotten about the fact that that Rick Jones at this point had been, what was he? He's going by the Whisperer at this point.
He
had hacked. Yeah, it's like it's amazing to me, all the stories that this all brought back to me when he's hiding out in the thing, because he was the one that revealed it, because he had like hacked shield systems, and because that's the thing he does now. It's why not? Well, it was the time. It was the 90s. Hacktivism was all the rage, or 2000s, whatever this came out.
2016.
2016, yeah. A mere 8 years ago. Or 6 years ago.
Yes, 6.
Yeah. Doesn't seem that long ago.
I know.
But, yeah. But it also seems like a lifetime ago. Yeah, and because really this leads into Secret Empire, and this leads into, you know.
Yeah, because that's the
Rick not
catalyst for
buying it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the catalyst for Hydra Cap is, when Kobik, de-ages Steve again.
Yep.
It looks like Cap's all evil, and then by the end of that storyline, we get a Superman 3 where Steve pulls himself from Hydra Cap. Yeah.
Yeah. But what's interesting in this is because of course part of the Hydra Cap backstory does have to do with Zemo. And specifically Zemo being best friends with Steve Rogers. Which is also weird because that's not the same. Well, no, because it is Helmut Zemo. That's right, because he is Helmut's kid, or he is Heinrich's kid, but he's also he wasn't alive during. It's weird because the timeline never seems to make sense. And if they were both teenagers,
Well, again, in that story, there was all kinds of cosmic cube shenanigans. So
yeah, cosmic cube shenanigans. But it also codified the fact that Sir Isaac Newton founded Hydra, so that made me happy. Those are some good stories, Phil. But at this point in the story, it all seems like everything's working out okay. Because the heroes do win now that Cap's young and leader. Although I will say that this is a very interesting thing. If you read Omega, there's a very big mistake in it.
Oh, that one panel where they're sitting at the table.
Yeah, and it's old Cap again.
Yes.
It's like, how do you get to be old Cap? It's like someone didn't tell the colorist he's blonde now. Of course, they were always very inconsistent with Cap, with old man Cap, Some days he was spindly, some days he was actually totally ripped. Although I guess it makes sense that if he was old Cap and he would be back at the gym, He might start out kind of spindly, but then he's going to build up some definition, He's going to get some gains. Start taking that, T formula stuff that they advertise.
Oh, that testosterone stuff, yeah.
You got to, it's over the counter. It's perfectly safe.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway. Yeah. I mean, yes.
I forgot that Kobik goes with Bucky and the Thunderbolts. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. It's like, I'm just going to get all my friends together. We're going to have so much fun. Because it's a big secret. It's a surprise, Bucky. You don't know. You don't know the secret. I got a secret surprise for everybody. Ay, Gavolt. But that's how they end it, and that's what sets up the dark days to come. But it's going to seem all nice and fun until, of course, we get Hail Hydra. Oh,
I love that. My favorite scene. I love when Zemo's monologuing and about taking down the Avengers and everything, and then just behind him you just see Quicksilver and the Vision taking out his super villain army out of the room and stuff.
Yeah, well, again, Zemo, he's not good at his job either. Really, there's a lot of super villains who are not very good at super villaining. And I think that there's an aspect of it, and I think this is something that has continued on with poor Zemo as time has gone on, where they've kind of made him kind of a silly villain. Because I think they don't know quite what to do with him as a villain. Because, he's not totally a Nazi, which is weird because he totally wants to run Hydra, but he's what Zemo is that guy who really thinks, well, no, but there's some good ideas in Hydra. I know it has a bad history, but there's some good ideas.
It's the daddy issues. He wants to be his father. He wants to, and it's like, well, how did his father do it? Well, fascism,
Yeah, well, but the idea is, and just to make this point again, everyone who likes, handsome Zemo in the TV show, he's still a fascist. He's actually worse than a fascist. He's a royalist. He's a monarchist.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not even a fascist. He doesn't even want to have an election or steal an election. He just says, no, I am the Baron, and you will do as I say, because it is my land. I own it because I am the Baron. It's like, dude, I don't care what waterlogged tart through that sort of, that's not how we run a country in this day and age.
I mean, Zemo was kind of competent in the DeMatteis Captain America run, but again, I mean, Zemo was never going to reach the heights of when he created the Thunderbolts.
No, well, that was really his best. That was his best work.
That was his best one. Yeah, that and when they invaded Avengers Mansion. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, Zemo, like I said, Zemo started strong, but I think that there's just nowhere to go with that kind of, and that's sort of, I think it's always the problem with any of these supervillains is that at a certain point they just become self-parody. You know, and I think that's where, I mean, and to be fair, that's a lot of what Osborn is. That's a lot of what Doom is. If you go on too long, you just become self-parody because, and like even Red Skull in this, he is 100%. He's already self-parody.
Well, again, this was the clone with Xavier's brain. So
this is just, I won't even use my super psychic powers. It's just sad. Now I forget, did they get Xavier's brain back before the Secret Empire story?
I don't remember. Oh, yeah, because doesn't Hydra Cap like kick his butt or something?
Hydra Cap did at one point. Yeah,
I know he like beats down the Red Skull. I forget if that's the point where they. Yeah, that might be.
Yeah. Well, I know that when they kill him, that's because that's the whole thing. It's like no. All right. But that was the Pleasant Hill saga.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting idea. It's a messed up idea. It really takes that whole excuse me. It takes that whole identity crisis thing from DC that they stole from Squadron Supreme to a whole other level. Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting, but but it's the basic idea. It's like, well, you know what, you're a villain and you keep on wanting to villainize, so you know what if we just made you not a villain anymore? What if we just clockworked oranged you up? But what if we did it in a way where you didn't even notice? That's the crazy part. They didn't even know. Oh. And speaking of which, let's talk about Captain America this week, Phil.
Yes. Hey, Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty, #1. My pick of the week.
Oh, yeah. And you know why it's my pick of the week, Phil?
Huh.
Open up to that splash page. That first one with the big circle. And he's thinking, it's the shield and it's the different things. Yeah. Yeah, look in that lower right-hand corner. Who is that? Do you know who that is?
Wait, you mean Sam Wilson?
Lower left-hand corner. The guy with the star in his eye? No. You haven't seen him in a while. And he's a real odd person.
Yeah, right here. Yeah.
Protoside.
Yeah. Hey. This is why I love this book so much, because I saw an article. They said they were going to do it, but they're going back to like his Captain America as like a superhero instead of like, an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. or soldier. That's the Cap I love the best. I love Captain America when he's like a straight up superhero.
But it's interesting that it's like, to me, that's interesting, and that we're dealing with other super soldiers in this.
Yeah.
That's what I find most fascinating. And to include Protoside in this, again, it shows love of deep lore and canon, which, I'm always there about.
Oh, yeah. They said these writers are like fans of like past runs of Captain America. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then, and we bring in the Destroyer, which is neat. And again, not the original Destroyer. Although I guess See, that's what I don't know. Is like that person that we meet at the end. Do we know who that person is? The person monologuing. Is that supposed to be someone? Because originally because when he gets the message coming through, he is talking to the Destroyer
Yeah.
on his little radio, on his shortwave radio team.
Unless
But
it's going
is she
over,
like?
unless it's going over my head, I don't think it's a known character, so it might be someone new.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the Mad Thinker, but but not. And I had heard references that the Destroyer was going to be the villain, so I don't know if that's supposed to be like the Destroyer's gotten youthened up or something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I'm interested in what game they're playing. He is wearing that. He's wearing green, so that's not good. So it's an interesting thing they're setting up there. But as a fight, I mean, it's a good fight. It's a fun fight.
I love in this book and the Sam Wilson book, we're kind of getting the buddy cop stories. Like Sam has the new Falcon, and over here Steve has Bucky. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great, and that's actually one of the best things. I think that Cap is best when he has someone to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Cap and Bucky really they are a great old team. But there's also a lot in this about a lot of references to Cap being kind of a man out of time. References like we all didn't get that spa day in the Antarctic when he's talking to the Destroyer at the start of the book, and Bucky even makes that point too. It's like, yeah, just because I wasn't in control, I was, fighting ninjas and all this kind of stuff. I always kept my eyes open, even if basically saying, well, Cap was out of the picture. Everybody else was continuing on living their lives and having their adventures. Interestingly enough, I don't know if this is a new thing, but apparently the Destroyer had was gay, so that's gonna cause trouble. I don't know if that's new, but first I'm hearing of it because
I don't know.
It was, and it's cool. Although then I'm gonna be mad if they make him the villain. And it's not to say you can't have gay villains. It's just like, well, if we're going to have one gay character, do they have to be the villain? Anyway, but so it's a really good story. It really sets up. We also get another, and this is what I like the best about it, is there's a lot of cut scenes that don't have an explanation because we see this one guy who might be his friend forging a shield, because we see one of the people that he's working with, who I think, the black guy with the gray beard.
Yeah,
I think that's the guy forging the shield that we see, but maybe it's not. I don't know, and so that's interesting. There's a lot interesting going on here. There's a lot that's being set up that we're going to have to wait to see what the outcome is going to be. And I like that. That's what makes for a good story. I think I went to my comic book shop a little early and they probably hadn't pulled the caps yet. So when I go back next Wednesday, this will probably be in my pull list. But, it's a very interesting story.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's back to classic Cap. He moves into an apartment. This one he actually moves into the apartment he grew up in.
Yeah, that seemed a little bit of a stretch to me.
I know. I'm like, nothing. I'm like, I know the landlord's pretty sleazy, but it's like nothing has changed since the 30s.
I'm surprised the building's even still there.
You know what? I think that's like a continuity thing, because I swear in what was it, like the late 80s or early 90s, there was a story where he was like telling Diamondback, oh yeah, near here's where like I grew up. The building was been torn down or whatever. So
yeah, well, I mean, they just rebuilt the universe. And
I'm gonna say Secret Wars, maybe. Yeah,
Secret Wars, everything's back. Just don't think too hard about it. And my biggest actual point is just like, oh, really? Like, there's still roach trap tenements in Brooklyn. Really, come on, that is Park Slope, and you know it. that is $1 million dog walker town, you know. So not there aren't tenements, but they're all very, very nice now.
I mean, can you imagine if he would have moved in and everything was different? It's like, oh yeah, here's where the Wi-Fi's at. Yeah, you know, here's the satellite dish.
You know,
Yeah.
You see, what you will find, although, is a lot of converted warehouses that aren't, strictly speaking, on the up and up. So you'll get a lot of those, and that I could see. Yeah. I've been in those buildings, and those have very affordable rents, and it would be very similar, but it wouldn't be an actual tenement because that's already zoned. Because any place that's zoned for residential, you know, you can get the money for that, Phil. But then again, this is the Marvel Universe, and they do have, you know, Hulks stomping through regularly. Although, again, it's one of those weird things like, yeah, don't worry, we rebuilt the original tenement and put all the rats back. So just as it was, you know.
Several generations of rats, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, that's the thing. It's like, you know, the facade, yes, because that's like building requirements. Yeah. You have to put the facade back, but inside the building, no. It's like, you know, given that they have established the idea that, oh yeah, a lot of the buildings are bigger on the inside than they are on the outside. It's like, you're going to tell me you have that technology in Manhattan, and you're not just, you know, making a lot of rent. I don't know. But it seems odd to me, Phil.
I just love how he moves in and he's like, yeah, he's like, I kept this to myself. Nobody knows I grew up here. He's like, otherwise the Smithsonian would try to make it like an historical landmark or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they would. I mean, you know, not for nothing.
But no, like I said, I just love it. I mean, back to classic Cap. He's living in an apartment. I like that. It's like, oh, hey, Sam Wilson's out there. So I can slow down a little bit and do a little bit of self-discovery on Steve Rogers.
Yeah. Although everyone knows he's Steve Rogers,
yeah,
which I found very interesting. I liked him at when he's taking the community college art classes because he knows how to draw, but now he has to learn how to draw, like
how to use an iPad and stuff. Yeah,
iPad, yeah. It's like, don't push the pencil don't push the stylus through the iPad.
And I love how his the other students are like, yeah, it's okay. Look at the nude model. Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, you've seen naked people before.
I know.
Iron Man.
Oh, but I love him sitting at with his friend at the bar. He's like, oh, you should have seen that Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah, well, you know. What can you say? I mean, you know,
he was there.
Cappy likes a handsome woman. You know, he likes them powerful ladies.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
All right. So Iron Man.
He's out of rehab.
Yep. That was a quick 3 months.
Yeah, well, you know. Well, apparently it's been longer than 3 months because he wanted to really make sure. Yeah. You know.
I'm just saying he went in at the end of the last issue. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know. And he proposes to Patsy, and she's like,
You know, I have issues with marriage, right? I married the devil's son.
Yeah, it's like, I like that we now have a new super intelligent gorilla villain. Because Marvel just does not have enough super intelligent gorillas. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, not compared to DC, no.
Yes, and it's playing the deep thought chess, and it's weird because yes, the gorilla's playing the computer and holographic chess, but like that's just one of 5,000 other things the computer's going to be doing at the same time. So it's almost like, and again, I can see where the gorilla's a little bit miffed. You know, I like that they
turned down for a job interview. Come on.
Well, and I mean, here's what I'll say. Granted, you know, Tony does not really have that. That's not his position. That's not his job.
Yeah.
And the gorilla was clearly being very pushy. But I like that they referenced Dr. Shapiro.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought you of all people would have respected, you know, non-human intelligence.
The cat had credentials.
Yeah, Dr. Shapiro has an established record. And this is the problem because clearly, I'm trying to remember the gorilla's name.
Chet.
Chet. Yeah, Chet clearly has anger issues. He's, not a good. He's not a good ape. He's not a good ape. He is a rampaging ape, and I don't mean to say that as a stereotype. I mean, he is no Gorilla Man would not have done it. That's what I'm going to say. Like, Gorilla Man would have been like, I'm not going to get into a big fight because, although it's interesting, if Chet kills Gorilla Man, what happens? Because he'd get the curse of the Gorilla Man, but he's already a gorilla. He's just become, now I'm just an immortal gorilla. That's cool. Except he's not an immortal gorilla because he can still die. But whoever kills him is going to become a Gorilla Man. So, interesting possibilities. But, best part, Phil.
The roller skates are back, baby. Yeah.
The skates are back. And, throughout this whole thing, I was waiting for Patsy and him to cross because they keep on cross-cutting him. They never do. She's just on the completely other side of town. Got a gorilla on a pink Vespa. Because, as you do.
Then they're
going to joust. With an American flag. And
because he hacked Tony's armor. So, yeah, the only thing he really had was those skates.
Which I thought was nice. The press is having a field day, as they do. And then Tony gets a call from the guy who has the Mandarin's rings.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because I believe that was like his former head of security or something like back in the the 80s and 90s, I think. So, yeah, I wonder how he got the Mandarin's rings.
Well, I wonder why Tony's dodging his calls.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be an untold story about why he's dodging his calls.
Yeah. Well, we'll see it either in Iron Man 21 or Iron Man and Patsy Annual #1.
Yep.
And Patsy decides not to marry him, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she kind of
not right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, they gotta, first off, not for nothing, you don't get married fresh out of rehab.
No, and again, I know they probably didn't they have some kind of psychic link or something going on, but I'm like, he's known her for how long? I mean, in real life, it's been like 20 months. How long was it been in superhero? I mean, I know they knew each other before this series, but it's like they weren't that close before this series.
No, they weren't. But actually, we don't know what they did off panel. And Tony's been around. They may have dated. Tony dates around.
Maybe.
I'll give a quick shout out to Marvels.
Okay.
Marvels, which 11. For those who don't remember, the world's being attacked by monsters, as it does. And everything's getting wrapped up here, but of course, our heroes are stuck in another dimension, which has now turned into a comic book store. And Mr. Threadneedle is trying to get them through the process to understand the story. And they pick up a Journey into Mystery comic because all of the back issues are the same. And this one tells this story of Shan Ka'ang. And this is the story of a goddess of a planet, basically a Mother Earth type, who, in order to escape monsters like this, they got these like little Kragar, whatever they're called. They're like lightning lions, and they repeatedly attack and destroy her cities. And every time they rebuild, they get destroyed again and again and again. And eventually they say, now we're going to eat you, my little pretty. The only way to get away from them is she has to burrow under the earth. And then she makes herself, she's not going to be a planet this time. She's just going to be a country. And she puts herself in the middle, in between like Vietnam and India, and draws in all of these, sort of forms herself to look like the local area. But then, of course, the monsters have found her. They're finally going to destroy her, and our heroes have to leave the nether region that they've been hiding in. They get out. They do lock the monsters in, but then Shan Kong's spirit comes out. Actually, we hope. And we're gonna see what happens next month. It's a very interesting book as they have built out this new mythos of the Marvel Universe. I highly recommend it. This is a weird issue, but it's all been weird issues all the way down. So, I think it's best if you had read before and we'll read what comes next. But as an issue, if you're up to it, it's actually pretty interesting, nice and fourth wall breaky.
Nice.
Okay. Do you got a book you want to talk?
No. I just wanted to talk that Iron Man and Captain, especially Captain America.
Okay. Do you want to talk 2099 Exodus?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
We got Loki.
Yes.
And Loki and a Valkyrie, because really, Spider-Man's just a framing device in this universe. And it is about Loki finding the last Valkyrie, but actually she's not a Valkyrie. She is part of the Asir program. And the entire point of this is, after that basically Alchemax, when they couldn't beat the Asgardians, they just decided to kill them all. So they manufactured a Ragnarok for the Asgardians, including their own mechanical Midgard serpent that wound up killing a lot of people. They do return Loki and Valkyrie to destroy it, but actually this was Loki's plan all along, because he knew that the worm cannot rest until the last Asgardian is dead. So they fight it, they defeat it, Loki dies, but they use some celestial juice, where I guess a celestial had recently been blown up, and Loki's blood to create a new breed of Asgardians, a breed of Asgardian outcasts. So they bring all of the people from the wastelands to the new Asgard, and they build their own community. And Spider-Man 2099 says, if I need help, can I count on you? And Valkyrie says, you can't, my people have been through enough, but I'll be there when you need me. So, yay! It's fun. I mean, it's got a lot of backstory that I really don't know, but you can follow along with it, and I like that.
Yeah, I think the big thing was just, back in the 90s, Alchemax tried to make their own, Asgardians. They're basically just trying to make superhumans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the premise, yeah. So, it's good. I like it. So, any final thoughts on tonight's books or the books we've read, Phil?
No, I was just going to say, once again, Captain America Sentinel of Liberty #1. I mean, I love it. I would like to talk to the writers one day.
Well, we should call them up.
I emailed. I haven't heard anything back yet. Hopefully I hear something soon. But what? They're probably busy.
Yeah, we got a lot of other podcasts to do, but they'll get to us, Philip.
I hope
they
so.
do, they're afraid we're going to weasel out all of their great secrets, and they got to avoid us. That's the problem, Phil. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to let you know, we all here on Capes and Lunatics, we are self-funded now. And if you could do us a favor, just go on down to our show notes. Go on to Linktree, that's linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. Look at all of our great merch, these amazing t-shirts, these wonderful real aluminum mugs, and our Patreon accounts where you can join up and give us money. And Philip, if they do that, what can they get?
You could get early access to creator interviews, including DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets. That's all the rage this year, where we'll find the worst superhero movie of all time. The next episode is Superman 3 versus Superman 4. So tune in for that.
And if you have thoughts on that or anything else, why don't you write us an email at CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. That's CapesandLunatics, all one word, @gmail.com. But Phil, if they don't want to write to us, if they want to talk to us, how could they do that?
If you don't want to email, you can always call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES.
Leave us a message and we will play it on the air.
Yes.
And of course, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, you can do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things when I feel like it, @Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of another Avengers Declassified. Hopefully you have learned what makes one an Avenger. And if you didn't, come back next week when once again we will declassify more Avengers stuff for you.
And next week, all new, all different Avengers 9 through 12.
Ooh, wonderful.
And then after that, it'll be summer of 69. So all the 1969 issues and Thor: Love and Thunder review.
Cool. I cannot wait. Avengers, disperse.
Disassemble.
See, I didn't want to do that because that's been.
I know.
See, that's the easy one, but I thought Avengers disperse. It's like class dismissed.
Works for me.
Avengers.